If you're just beginning in the hobby, you may be very anxious in buying IEMs. You're asking questions on Facebook groups like, what's the best sounding IEM? How is the build quality? What are the accessories? I have been there. I ask questions because you don't want to spend money on something that you will regret buying, of course. But what if I tell you there is a set that sounds good, actually sounds better than it's priced, it has good enough accessories, it has a dongle, good ear tips, and the price is less than $50. Good day guys, it's Practiphile, and yeah, today I'm gonna talk about the Roseselsa Aurora Ultra. Thank you so much HiFiGo for sending this over, and also for Roseselsa for having free units, giving free units to vendors. Yeah, my thoughts are my own, and I'm gonna talk about this one here. The value proposition on this one here is really compelling. In the unboxing, I was surprised when I got this. Like, I thought I ordered something from Amazon because they didn't feel like earphones. Usually earphones, they only weigh so much, but when I received this one, like, why is this so heavy? And then when I checked it, it was this one here. It comes with this case, very durable case for that matter. Actually, one of the cases out there that you would trust to put your most favorite earphones on. Of course, you get the cable. The cable is pretty fine. I think it's wrapped in like fabric or something. They're not tangly. They're pretty decent for the price. You get the their standard ear tips, like wide-bore ear tips, and you also get, I think, their proprietary liquid silicone ear tips. I think they call it the Sound Cocoon, which is one of the best liquid silicone ear tips I've tried so far to date. The stem just feels sturdy, and the whole ear tip itself it's not sticky. So what I mean by that is, with some of the liquid silicone ear tips I've tried, when I put them in my ears, like, they stick together with the stem, and when they stick together, it actually breaks the seal for me, at least for my ears. And so with this one here, the ear tip does not really stick to the stem, so it creates a perfect seal. You also have an ear tip case, not to mention you're also getting a dongle. There are 200M dongle, and I think this is Realtek ALC 5628 or something like that, but this is pretty decent. I think this DAC chip is pretty used in laptops anyway, so it's probably gonna sound sufficient, I guess. It could probably drive the earphone. I mean, this is already easy to drive to begin with, so I mean, what an overall value. You know the price of this? All of that for $43. $43. You get the earphones, of course, a cable, ear tips, liquid silicone ear tips, a dongle, very good carrying case, $43. That is value in there. And I haven't even talked about the sound. Now let's talk about the sound here. Objectives. Start with the objectives here. So I'm gonna be comparing it, of course, to IEMs priced in the sub-60 category in my list. Yeah, objectively, the graph looks like that one over there. Let me overlay my balance target. As you can see there, it's a classic V-shaped signature. You get an elevated bass in there, mid bass prominent. You get like kind of like a W kind of tuning in there. A little bit of peaks in 2K and 5K, a dip at 7K, and then an elevation in the lower treble, and probably that's the planar thing doing its thing in there. So how does it sound like? It sounds like how it's graphed. It has good extension in both ends, so it's really fun because it's mid-bass, it's punchy. You don't really get that forward vocals because, again, with this kind of signature, you just don't get that, forward vocal presentation. The highs are crisp, they're airy, they're sparkly because of that planar in there. It may be a little bit unrefined, especially for people who are sensitive to treble, but it is easily mitigated by the amount of bass. So even if, the treble is a little bit crazy in there, it complements well with the amount of bass in the signature. So yeah, classic V-shape, U-shape sound with good quality, in my opinion. So moving on now to my subjective scoring. If you want to know how I score IEMs, check this somewhere right here. So for the tonality on this one here, as you can see, it doesn't really follow my target. It's a little bit, it has more bass than what I like. Yeah, it has a lot of bass for my preference, and also with the treble in there, it's really not my preferred signature. It's too, how do I say? It's too fun for me. I mean, I enjoy this you know, sometimes from time to time I enjoy listening to this one here. But yeah, it's probably just a bit contrasty for me. It has too much bass and the gain is really not my target in there. Although if I switch to my neutral target, the gain is kind of like maybe in that regard, but look at that. There's just too much bass in there. So for the tonality, I'll probably just give it a 2. You may enjoy this kind of tuning, and I'm just scoring it subjectively because it's just not really my preferred signature. So yeah, that's for the tonality. Moving on to the bass. As I've said, the bass here is, yeah, it's punchy, it's dynamic, it's probably enough for most listeners. You're probably gonna have more fun listening with this one here, but then again, I find that the bass is a little bit too much for my preference. So and because of that, it gets a penalty in the mids. So the mids are a little bit recessed because of the mid bass in there. So for the bass, probably I'm just giving it a 2 as well. It's just okay for me. It's not doing something wrong, and it's also not doing something great for me. Moving on to the mids. Mids are, again, even if I overlay there my neutral target, it's a little bit too recessed. It's not that it's recessed that it's drowning out the mid. This is not an IM for timbral accuracy. The airiness in the vocals are sometimes pushed forward and creating that kind of like digital timbre in there. It's not as natural as I wanted it to be, but then again, this set is actually for, you know, fun. If you want really fun in there, if you're looking for an IM that is probably a little bit all-rounder and very contrasted, this is probably the one to get. It's really not for vocals, although the instruments actually sound really good. I mean, they're very edgy. It's close to natural, but what do I do with the mids here? It's really, I mean, this is just a nitpick with the vocals really, but overall, the instruments actually sound good. So for the mids, I'll give it a 2.5. I'll give 2.5 for the mids on this. Right, moving on to the treble. Yeah, you can see there's, you know, like a little bit of jittery lines past 10K, and it's probably because of the planar. Because this is a DD and a planar set. You know, usually for planars, we expect that they have inaccuracies in the treble, lower treble to the upper treble. They do have that sparkliness in there. It has good detailed retrieval. It has good amount of air, you name it. I'm surprised listening to this set, really. So for the treble, I'm giving it 2.5, although it may not be the most natural sounding treble implementation out there. For 40 bucks, I mean, let's look at the price again on this one here. 40 bucks, this is amazing value. And lastly, for the technicalities, yeah, as I've mentioned, it goes hand in hand with the treble, and you know, it's not always that if there is an increase in treble, the technicalities are improved. Sometimes that is the case, but in the case of the Aurora, because it's a microplanar and a DD, so it's kind of like, because the DD creates this natural timbre and then the planar creates this crazy airy kind of signature. So it's just amazing. It is a nice implementation for this price. And so for the technicalities, I'm probably giving it a 3 just because of its price. Nothing is doing it in this price point. And even like under $50, are there any other sets that are like a DD planar? Because I know the Moondrop Race, it's a DD plus planar. EW300, it's DD planar and piezoelectric. But under $50, good job, Roseselsa. You're nailing it here. So yeah, and that is a total of 12 for me, and 12 is A minus. Yeah, I think it's worth it. It can be in my rec list. Like if you really want an all-rounder sound, I think A minus is justified for this one. All right, let's move on to the comparisons here. Let's start with, I mean, for the price range though, it's really hard. Maybe the clean. Okay, let's start with the clean in here because the clean is around the same price point. The graph of the clean and the Aurora Ultra looks like that one over there. As you can see, yeah, the tonality is a little bit different. The clean is really smooth though, as you can see there. The Aurora's peaks and dips create this sometimes peaks, and it can be really annoying for some people who are sensitive to treble. If you want an overall like balance, clean signature, probably you go for the clean. If you want contrasted signature, you want details and micro details, probably the Aurora would be better. Again, with value proposition as well, I think the Aurora beats it just because it's cheaper than the clean actually. Next one would probably be, let's see here, of course the EW300 in there. It's more expensive. It's actually leaping above its price range here. The EW300 versus the Aurora Aurora right there. Yeah, as you can see there, kind of like similar trend, you know, like start with the bass, some mid-bass elevation in there. Although the gain is much smoother on the EW300, you do find that the Aurora has more nuance in the treble. The EW300 is not dark, it's just that the Aurora is really crisp in the treble because of that microplanar implementation in there. And again, the EW300 is around 70 bucks, 80 bucks, and the Aurora is like 40. That's half the price. It has good ear tips, good case, a dongle. Value-wise, the Aurora, man, it's the Aurora. Next one is, let's see here, the EPZ K1. There, the K1 is here because look at that in there. Yeah, a little bit similar in signature, right? Although the K1 is a little bit brighter, but the gain is really similar, wherein it emphasizes some peaks and it makes, you know, like, it makes for a very colored sound. If you like the kind of presentation and very contrasty, probably pick the again the Aurora because it's much cheaper. I think the K1 is around $60. Yeah, I'd probably pick the Aurora too because the Aurora has that bass to mitigate these peaks in here. Sometimes the K1's like treble in there. The 8K it's probably just too much. But yeah, just showing you there that this is the kind of signature that this is following. Another one is the Zenith because the Zenith is an S ranker in the sub 60 price category. You can see there that the Zenith, again, it's much smoother. Look at that, man. Look at I mean, no, not the Aurora. The Zenith looks it's pretty good. Look at that. It's almost following my target. I'd probably pick the Zenith here. I'd probably pick the Zenith. It's just, maybe it's just me. The Zenith's bass is really just enough for me. The gain is really just enough. Zenith for me. I mean, for you, if you like bassy and contrasty and airy treble, probably you can pick the Aurora, but for me, I'll probably pick the Zenith here. Another one that I want to compare it with would be the Let's Your S15s. This is more expensive, like 10 times more expensive, maybe almost 10 times, because look at that in there. The bass almost has the same glide. The gain is a little bit different, but I was reminded with the S15s when I tried the this one here. Really, like maybe like you can say, I don't know, like 60-70% of the tonality is coming from like maybe the S15s. It does really resemble, although the S15 really sounds like more nuanced, more mature sounding, and you know, like overall technically better, but the price difference also, man, like 40 and 300 bucks, and look at that in there. So again, just letting you know, if you haven't heard the S15s, probably you can give the Aurora Ultra a try. And last one would be the Yan Canon. Again, a more expensive one. Let's see here, the Yan Canon, not the two, just the regular Yan Canon. Look at that in there. Just letting you know that this kind of like W tuning, like peaks and dips, it's not uncommon. I mean, they even exist in like mid-range priced IEMs. Just showing you there that the Aurora does really sound more than its price. For 40 bucks, this is a very good value proposition. For beginners, if you're just a beginning hobbyist, you want something all-rounder fun, you want good ear tips, good carrying case, a dongle, look no further, man. Roseselsa Aurora, you did a great job. The tonality might really match like the preference for like audiophiles, but hey, like audiophiles, like people who read graphs, that's probably just 5 or 10% of the population that really is listening to music. Overall, like probably most people would probably enjoy bass and good sounding treble. And I think Roseselsa did a great job with the Aurora Ultra. Thank you so much, and if you like my video, consider subscribing, liking, sharing, comment down below for any questions. Have a great day. Bye.